Hi there, I'm News14. It's a video talking about the pike versus the sword bayonet. So basically, to sum it up first, let's look at the status. The pike has really decent status, 50 base damage. 50 base damage.
Here comes the whole of bloody.
They'll certainly slaughter us out there.
Like, you know, you have 50 base damage, an 0.5 swing speed, 0.5 second swing speed, which is like the third fastest after the stake and the hand axe, which are both extremely short range. Playoffs. Now for the sword bayonet, you have an 0.7 swing speed, the same as the normal bayonet. Oh, I forgot the penetration. The sword bayonet has a penetration of exactly 2, a fixed 2 penetration. But the pike has a mechanic that allows its penetration to jump from 2 to jump from 2 to 4. If you hit 2 zombies in a row, your penetration will become 4. Ouch. But if you miss a shot after that, your penetration will be reset back to 2. That was still an ending issue. Oh, damn it. So basically, the penetration would be set to 4. Causing the weapon to lose, to be basically much more powerful, you know. So, but what am I talking about here? The sword bayonet has 30% more damage, 15 more damage, which is really solid. But the pike has its, like, you know, actually has more DPS. The pike has exactly 100 DPS. The sword bayonet has a tiny bit less than that. It has less DPS, which might actually, you know, concern you, I guess. The thing is, the pike's main weakness is not the pike's main, you know, thing that makes it actually a viable weapon. Specifically San Sebastian. I would say San Sebastian is the only place where you should actually be using the sword bayonet. First off, like in San Sebastian, until you reach down, every last zombie would be able to one-shot, which is really powerful. But in other maps, you only have one-shotable zombies in like the first segment, which includes Leipzig. I would actually recommend the pike in Leipzig. Shocking, right? I would actually recommend it. But basically, when you're playing, you know, imagine this. Like, you're using the pike, you're you're in a situation where, like, the DPS and the DPS paired with the swing speed and stuff, you know, with the penetration, makes the pike much more viable weapon. I'm not using the pike right now, I'm not really using the spawn dude, but that's because we have some pike in the spawn dude, which would mean we're gonna use more. I will talk about that later on, maybe in another video. But this is a pike and sword bayonet video. So, other than that was that, I want to talk about something specific. If you're with your team, and your team has some serious competition, or other people also want to get killed, sword bayonet is actually a solid thing. But if you're playing solo or something, or your team just sucks, and you're a professional and you need to help it, then use the pike. Now, there is something with the with the pike, I want to talk. And that is how, you know, how reliable it is. How reliable the pike is. With the sword bayonet, imagine you get grabbed. It takes about 1.5 seconds to hold the weapon again and start fighting. Which is really bad. Especially if you're in a bad situation. But with the pike, as you can see, a lot of professional players use the unequipped grip, which wasn't really that good before the pike's swing speed got nerfed. Yes, it did get nerfed, that's the point. It got turned from 0.4 to 0.5, which is a nerf. As you can see, I'm actually doing this trick right now as a pontoon, even though it's basically useless using this pontoon. So I actually shouldn't be doing this. This thing is especially useful because there's something that exists that is called the pike slowing you down whenever you attack them. But that slow is like 50% negotiable if you're using the unequipped trick. That's right, the unequipped trick basically just takes that slowness and shift deletes like 50% of it. Because you unequip the weapon, and whenever you unequip shit my mouse. Whenever you unequip the weapon, you get and with the pike, you get a secondary weapon. Wait a second. With the sword bayonet, use your ultra weak secondary. You first have to take it off the weapon itself, which is a process that takes around 3 seconds, which in this game is a lot, because this is a very fast-paced game. Like you can not swing out a runner and die, but swing out a runner and not die. This is like a really fast-paced game where you have to be focused. But the thing is here, like, you can't really do that with a sword bayonet. Especially if you're like detectionist. Not about the gun, like you could be saying, you got a gun, you get a gun, you get a gun. What the do you mean is that you get a gun? Because you get a secondary, and everyone knows that gunning is just not really that worth it. My recommendation is just don't use the sword bayonet. In that case, if you want a gun and a heavy melee, easier to pontoon or the normal musket, which is like incredible. Not one of those cool Gaga kids larpers going, oh yeah, pike is the best, sword bayonet is the best, musket sucks. No, the musket is definitely one of the most overpowered yet balanced weapons at the same time. So use the pike. Use the musket. Okay, use it. I definitely recommend at least trying it out. You don't really use it. At least try it out. You really want to use the musket on this one. So basically, the musket, the pike, if you want a gun, just use the musket or something. But if you want raw power, don't use the sword bayonet. It's more casual, it's much more casual, it's very active and casual. I wouldn't recommend this weapon. There's when you use it. Oh, in conclusion, if you want something that is just way too brain dead, or switching between stuff, you just want to mind waste you do shit, you want to annoy your teammates, use the sword bayonet, I don't care. But if you want something that is more reliable, then I would recommend the pike or the musket. Just not the sword bayonet. It has some major downsides. I won't really recommend it as a weapon of choice. That's it for today. Yeah, it's that one. Not even saying goodbye. Bye bye.